We are live on YouTube, just so you know.
All right. It being 5:02, I'd like to call the meeting, monthly Board of Siren Education to order. Would all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And at this point, I'm looking for a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda. I'll second that.
We got a motion from Katie, seconded by Jamie. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. One second. Okay. Do we have any wish to make comments from the public this evening?
Yes.
Okay, just as a reminder for public commentary. The board has opted to have a public comment period at the school board meeting. Each commenter is limited to a maximum of 5 minutes for the commenter's remarks. Each commenter shall be identified by the commenter's name, place of residence where the commenter has students currently enrolled in the district and or is staff person in the district. Comments must be directed solely to the board and or its designee and must not address other members of the audience during this part of the meeting. The board during the public comment period will not discuss the agenda issues raised by the public commentator, but may discuss such agenda items at the conclusion of the public comment period. All individuals who comment during the public comment period are reminded that the information provided this evening is intended to provide information to the board so that it can fulfill its role in receiving public comment. The board encourages the commenter to engage in civil discourse that models character and ethical behavior. In that vein, all parties are reminded that all information offered be truthful and honest. False statements or stigmatizing charges may subject the individual making such statements to legal repercussions, including but not limited to defamation claims. Other specific procedures for the public comment period not mentioned herein can be found in board policy. So we have one. Please stand up and introduce yourself.
I'm Krista Matson, and I am from here in Siren. I do have students in this district as well as I'm representing quite a few number of parents, as I think a lot of you are aware after the Facebook post regarding our food service. So I'm prepared a statement, and that is within the Siren School Handbook, it states that as a caretaker guardian of a Siren student, that we need to quote unquote ensure that my child attends school every day and is fed. So I'm here today to address the fact that although my children are fed a well-balanced meal at home every night, the school is lacking in their food service department for the breakfast and lunch. So today I would like to address the food service program that is within the school. I've been informed that the school board does not need to approve the menu for the district. I would ask that that be changed, or that at the very least, there be more accountability within the aspect for this district. This is my students' first year in this district, and I am shocked at the pictures that I receive from my students, as well as the of what the food portions that they're given, and then the food that they are given. I've attended multiple lunches, and I have been shocked at the small amounts of food that are given. I wanted to see it for myself in person. As well as I have come into this school for Veterans Day for a plethora of years. So I've seen the change throughout the years. I am informed that the kids can get an additional food, which is $2.50. Don't quote me on that because I did not verify that exact amount. Couldn't verify that through anything. I can attest from firsthand knowledge that there are students that try to get additional food that are told to go sit down without receiving that food. This happened to a child that is not mine, but it did happen in front of me. And I can attest that the supersized portions are a tiny little boat that hardly seem like a fair portion for the price that is approximately the original cost of the entire school lunch at most schools that I'm familiar with. Although as a district, we qualify for the Community Eligibility Provision, CEP in short, which means that each and every student in this district is eligible for free breakfast and lunch. There is an exceptional amount of students. The day that I was last year, it was approximately 25% of the students who had packed lunches from home. We offer free lunch, free breakfast. This is very telling for our district. The message this brings is that the district is clearly not providing an adequate food service. Through the CEP program, we have a minimum of 4 years with reduced overhead. We are not paying staff to process lunch money. In fact, all they have to do is give a clicker. They have to just count the number of students that take a lunch. That's all. They don't have to do accounts. They don't do applications, nothing. Under the No Kid Hungry program, when a child's nutritional needs are met, the child is more attentive in class, has better attendance, and has fewer disciplinary problems. I really wondered why the district is so different than the others that I'm familiar with. And I do understand that we have a peanut allergy to take into account. I completely understand that. But I mean, some local schools have an entire buffet of school food offered to them. And that's not but a few schools down south. A whole buffet that they get to choose exactly how much food goes onto their tray. They get to choose what they're putting into their bodies because their bodies tell them what they need. It's a shame. So I did ask my students to send me pictures at the beginning of the year when they started to complain about this. I attended school here and I fondly remember the smells coming from the kitchen. I never remember going hungry or inadequate food. I really thought that perhaps my students, all 4 of them, were just not used to the way a different school is, and that maybe they were exaggerating some little changes. After all, we have laws in place that make our food service exceptionally strict. I would like to point out also that I've worked in schools, I've prepared and served food in accordance to the same standards as this district adheres to. So as a parent and community member, I want answers. I want to know where our breakdown is. Why are we not able to provide at least the same food service as other communities in this poor community area? There are schools that have full buffets. This is not fair. I'll take and utilize the rest for the next time.
Okay. I appreciate your commentary and inputs in regards to this. Any other public comment at the time? Anything from the board before we move forward?
I'll make a motion that we review the school lunch program.
I'll second.
We have a motion from Eric, seconded by Kelly to review the school lunch program. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, we'll look at putting
Is that
that,
all 7? I had my head down, sorry.
yeah,
All 7 approved.
any nays? No.
Thank you.
Schedule that for the next committee it's most applicable to. We'll go from there.
I was gonna bring it to policy anyway.
Okay.
So,
Thank you. All right. Moving on, special appearances, student achievements, Brina Anderson.
Feels funny talking to your backs.
Yes.
You can go anywhere you want, right in here.
Then you can be on camera too.
Okay, so, we were asked to bring about student achievements and things that have been happening in the music department. Beth was not able to be here because she's at an in-service today. But, so I have some students here that have been involved in, honors bands and honors choirs this year. That's one example of student achievement in being able to be involved in these through director nomination. It's kind of like in the old days, what we would call enrichment, gifted and talented type situations where we've got students who can achieve at higher levels, and it gives them an opportunity to do that. So for the band portion, I have high school students who are involved in 3 different honors bands. One at UW Superior, one at through the University of Wisconsin at Eau Claire, at the Pablo Center, which is a fabulous place to perform, a great experience. And then we have our own local conference, Upper St. Croix Conference Honors Band, which just happened in Osceola a couple of weeks ago. Beth Peterson has taken kids this year to her conference honors choir, which happens the beginning of December. And then she participated for the first time in Core Fest. So students that you have, Lucy Peterson. Lucy, what grade are you in?
I'm in 10th grade.
Okay, and you were involved in honors choirs, all 3 honors bands and both honors choirs. Okay, do you have any comments about them?
I've been in a bunch throughout the years, and it's a really good experience and fun.
Lucy, what instrument do you play?
I play the tuba.
Tuba. That's right, I knew that. Gosh.
Okay, and Hannah
I'm
Reitman.
I'm in 10th grade, and I think it's really fun. Like, I feel like it's a good experience, like you said. And I feel like everyone should do it because like you make more friends and just it's really fun.
And this was your first year.
Mhm.
And yes, I was really happy that she had wanted to be nominated for that. And it really pushes players along. Okay, Sam?
Okay, I am a senior. I've done a lot of honors bands. This year's the first year for our Core Fest. It's all very fun. I've learned a lot. It's been great to represent Siren, and we learned a lot, learned how to be better players, better musicians. And it's just a very enjoyable, very fun experience.
And then Eliana Savage?
I'm in 10th grade and I went to Core Fest and Honors Choir, and I've also done a bunch of stuff for choir. I haven't done anything for band, just choir. But for me personally, I think it helped me grow as a singer, and it made choir more enjoyable. And I've made a lot of great memories and a bunch of new friends.
And Ellie, you are going to be auditioning for state honors choir.
Yes, this weekend, yeah, I'm auditioning for state honors choir because when I moved here to Siren, they gave me the opportunity to do like honors choir and all that stuff during middle school, and I decided to keep doing it when I got to high school.
Well, good luck this weekend. And
Yeah.
and you did really good when you sang the national anthem the other night. I don't remember what night it was, but she sang before the game one night.
Yep.
It's very impressive. Very good.
Okay, and Emma Peterson?
I'm a senior, and I've also done a whole bunch of honors bands and honors choirs throughout my high school career. And one of the most memorable ones was when I went down to Iowa last year with the choir, and we sang with 900 other kids. And it was really fun, and like doing all of the different honors bands and choirs, it's so fun to play or sing with a whole bunch of people you don't know, and it's fun because you're not like scared to do anything because like you don't know them, so yeah. Highly recommend it.
Yeah, from my standpoint as an educator, these are events that really bring students out of their shells. It gives them an opportunity, like they say, to meet other people and go, oh, maybe I am doing this right. Maybe I, just to give them confidence. And in turn, that confidence is brought back to our kids here. And so our own high school groups and middle school groups, because we do this at the middle school level also. It's a tremendous help. And, it helps our groups get better and better and better. So, and I will say that, well, Emma and Lucy, I have 8 students that will be participating. Emma and Lucy are part of them, but 8 that will be going to Europe this summer with the Wisconsin ambassadors. And that's another experience where they will gain tremendous amounts. It's not a school event, but it's a big one. Some other things that these guys have all been involved in is solo and ensemble. That is another level of achievement that kids can become involved in. And the older that they get, they can go into higher classes and then go to the state competitions and become some really fine musicians that way. It really pushes you as a player and as a vocalist when you're in events like honors bands, solo and ensemble. We have solo and ensemble coming up on February 11th through middle school. And I have 11 events for band, and then there's 2 events for choir for a total of 21 students involved, which I think is pretty good. So high school will be coming up. And anyway, these are wonderful kids, and they gained a lot of knowledge in these extra things that we do and can bring it back to us here.
I really appreciate this, and congratulations, ladies, and to all the other students with all they've been able to achieve through these opportunities. And I know, Bryn, if it wasn't for you, that they might not have gotten these. And it's just great to have dedicated educators like you that are willing to help our students see more of the world and experience more, and that make memories and take it forward with them. So look forward to hearing more, and good luck.
Can I have you guys take a pretty picture? Cause you guys look bored when I tried to snake.
Gotta get back to
one earlier. Thank you, guys.
Nice job, girl. Bryn.
All right. On to more good stuff, accepting donations.
Make a motion, we accept the donation from the Knights of Columbus for $552.45 for the special education department.
Got a motion by Peggy, seconded by Eric. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Make a motion that we accept the donation for $100 from Rhonda Thompson towards the girls' basketball program.
Do I need to abstain this?
Hmm?
Do I need to abstain? Cause it's my mom.
I don't know.
Okay.
You can if you want.
Okay, I just don't wanna it's a little donation. Yeah, no. Well, no.
All right, so we got a motion by myself, seconded by Kelly. All those in favor?
Aye.
And we got 2 abstaining because
Oh,
my
2?
daughter's also a senior. in there,
Okay.
So.
Hold on.
Well, it was my mom doing that.
I know, but
Yeah.
Okay, got
it
it.
is appreciated.
Make a motion, we accept the donation from Bob Lee for $5,000 to the 2025 band choir trip.
Second.
I would like to abstain from this because my kid's in this.
All right, we got a motion from Peggy.
Oh, I'll second it. Oh, or Eric, never
seconded
mind.
it.
I don't know what's going on.
This extremely generous donation
Yes.
from Bob. It's amazing. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Make a motion to accept the donation from Richard Nelson for 300 to the Siren Band Department program as well.
I'll second that.
Motion by myself, seconded by Jamie. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I'll make a motion to accept the More for Kids hand grant for $2,455.25 to Anderson, Karsten and Schultz.
Second.
What does that mean, though?
It,
says in
if you look in
Oh.
there, it's how it's divided up for the different
Oh,
programs
I
that
know.
they're wanting to help with.
this. I don't know, it's an acronym I came up with that was really great, but.
That's what- oh.
Each one of them seemed
Gotcha. Yeah, I guess I didn't. I went through it quickly. Thanks, Katie.
Yeah.
So we got a motion from Jamie. I missed the second. Was there a second?
Second was Steve.
Seconded by Steve. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Yeah, again, an extremely generous donation and a huge thank you from kids.
Make a motion, we accept the Hope for Net grant for $1,000 to the band program.
Motion by Peggy, seconded by Steve. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, wow.
Can I just make a comment?
Yes, absolutely.
I don't know how, if you know who Bob Lee is. I mean, obviously.
I know who Bob Lee is.
I thought I did too, but Dan swore he has passed, so I had to double.
No, Bob Lee was the superintendent of Siren many years ago.
His last year was my first year. I was his last hire.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a bunch of that year.
Yes. And he rarely misses a concert or anything in all these years.
It's just awesome. Just great seeing so much generosity from so many people. Treasurer's report.
I'll make a motion to accept the treasurer's report for December of 2024.
I'll second.
Motion by Katie, seconded by Kelly. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? President's report, correspondence. I got nothing except for we're full on in wrestling, basketball, hockey, you name it. And we just had the concert the other weekend here. And I mean, just lots of good stuff going on and can't wait to hear about more. So, go Dragons. Report, superintendent.
So I shared this article, I thought it was a great article, and I shared it with finance. And it's significant because it touches on three areas, which were the general school resources that we trail behind inflation. When we went to our last operating referendum, that was a point of emphasis because right around 2010, the legislature quit funding for inflation. And I think we did the math on that, and we would have, if that were in play, we would have about $3,000 more per student, and we wouldn't necessarily have to go to referendum for these needs. And that was significant, but that went away. So that was one thing that we did talk about. The other is the declining enrollment, and that's no secret to you guys across the state. We're not the only school seeing declining enrollment. It's happening in every school, many schools, many different sizes. And then the third piece was the insufficient resources for special education. And some of you see that firsthand. But one of the things that, just a couple of things, the legislature now, our advocacy organizations are looking at revenue limit increases. That will help us if the per pupil or revenue limit increases in each district, that helps us to get close. That's significant because rather than asking for a per pupil increase, the revenue limit is something the legislature can wrap around, and they've had some good traction recently on that. And the other one is increasing special education funding. So those two are really significant items. I don't have a lot of information to share with you on that right now, and as it comes, I will. But that currently those are the two areas that our lobbyists and organizations are focusing on. But the reason I bring this up is because our referendum ends in 2026. We did a 3-year. The second one I've been involved with here, and we did pass both. And these are some of the pillars we may have to focus on in 2026 when we have to do that. Now, maybe something will change in the legislature where we won't have to do a referendum piece. But that's just something, this organization is, Laura's a member of the business official organization, and Ann Chapman is the researcher for that and has great insight. And if you read the article, there's a lot of good insight in there. And if anything more were to come on that, because, school finance is not the easiest topic to wrap your head around, and, and organizations can provide some information for boards. I think that's very helpful. We attend regular, they have Friday, like once a month, they have Friday, updates from the school business officials, organization. Laura and I would typically attend those and that. So stay tuned on that. As more concrete budget information comes forth, I will share those with you. And their budget hearings will be ongoing, and I'll share information. But right now, all they're sharing mostly is just the points of emphasis, which I just talked about. They are getting traction, but we'll see what else comes as a result of that. So I just wanted to keep that as the lone topic, because just to wrap our head around it. And you'll see the record number of districts going to referendum than they have in the last year and moving forward for us. So,
Thank you, Kevin. Principals reports, Mrs. Herman, summer school.
Summer school, it seems far away, but it's really not. I have picked the dates of June 9th through the 26th. Which will be Monday through Thursday like usual, same time frame. Sorry, I'm starting to lose my voice, I think. Katie and I talked about the building projects and playground, and we will do whatever we can to just stay out of the way. So if they're working on the playground, we're gonna go ahead and continue summer school and not try and put the projects on hold. We'll just move around the building as needed and block off the parking lot if we have to. And so we'll be able to make do with whatever is happening in the building at that time.
Excellent.
Roles and responsibilities. It was my turn, and you can see all the different roles and responsibilities I have. Some of them that when I came on scene 10 years ago, our elementary staff was struggling. They were struggling with trusting an administrator. They were struggling with, they still have, I call it PTSD, if my doors are closed in my office or the blinds, which is very rarely, they kind of panic a little bit. So I've spent a majority of my time over the years with building that trust with the elementary staff and really continuing to support them, not just professionally, but personally also, and making sure that they feel supported at all times in the classroom. You can see the list of all the other titles that I hold in the district. When I came here, when Peggy hired me, because it was just Peggy at that point. I had already been doing a lot of these roles in my former district. And so it just made sense that I would take over a lot of those pieces also. Each of the jobs takes different amounts of time depending on the time of year. So for instance, right now, summer school prep is starting. And then DAC is really most consuming all year long, but really January through April, I'm running and trying to manage all the different platforms of testing throughout the whole building. One of the new things that's taking a ton of time just learning is Act 20 and just the new reading readiness law. Very time consuming, not just for me, but for Becky Wickland and Daniel Formanek, the interventionist too. Just making sure that we know what that law is and trying to follow it and make sure we're getting the communication to families. Any questions?
Thank you for providing this, so we have an idea of different hats you're wearing, of course, because as with many of the administration, there's quite a few of them.
Especially in a small district like this, we keep taking on what we need to take on in order to continue moving forward.
It does look like there's a lot of extra taking on as far as what you've had to do, so. Anyone have any questions, comments?
I just have a comment as a board member and being in the elementary part of the school 2 days a week. I get to interface with a lot of the teachers. And yes, Carrie does provide a very important part as an elementary principal and all the things she does and I see her do while I'm here. So thank you, Carrie, for what you do.
Anyone is welcome to come and hang out with us anytime you want.
Just a comment quick. So some of these roles that people end up with, the interesting thing about this is it's not always something we've created and looked for. There are many times where we need to comply with law and we'll be on a webinar or something like that, and they'll be defining different roles. And so as those are working, we're thinking about who in our district can accept those roles. So like some people have to be an appeal agent, some people have to be an investigator. And as that shakes out, basically throughout those webinars, as it's going on, we're kind of just deciding who needs to pick up that role. And then a lot of times we'll talk with legal counsel and they'll say, yeah, you know, so-and-so is probably best suited because of their position to do that. So it's not like something we just arbitrarily, you know, make up. Sometimes it's interesting how that works out when you're required to do things by law. And then we just follow through with legal counsel and we've talked it through and then they'll just kind of decide maybe that's the best person for that role. So, especially when we need to comply with certain, you know, legislation that's coming, like you're probably gonna see some new legislation that we're gonna have to comply with now with the ICE piece. You'll see that change now. So I'll keep you up to date on policy on that one as well, but.
All right. Anyone else? Moving on, Ms. Campbell.
So I'm going to try and give a short, big picture overview of the state report card, which is public. And you all have access to at the DPI website for Siren.
Can you speak up just a little bit, please?
Yep.
Thank you. We'll do your school here.
All right. So our overall performance for the 23-24 school year, our sort of composite score was 61.5, which puts us in the meets expectations category, which we have been being in the meets expectation at least the last several years. So that's staying about steady. Some key performance indicators for student achievement. Proficiency rates for our ELA or English Language Arts is 32.8% of students meeting or exceeding. And then 36.1% in mathematics. And those scores are both increases from the previous year of 26.2 in ELA and 28.3 in math. And again, that's the addition of meets and exceeds. So we are seeing an upward trend, which is definitely something that we want to happen. For student growth, so growth scores on the report card are a priority area. It's something that we tend to focus on a lot in this district because it's using a value added model, which seeks to control for circumstances outside of educators' control. So it looks at things like socioeconomic status, or if we had English language learners, things like that. And it actually accounts for those in the overall scores. And so our overall student growth score district-wide was 60.3. Notably, our math score was 67.9, so considerably higher, and then our ELA was 52.7. One of the things that we learned at the CISA day, where we really dig into the specifics of the report card, is that there was major changes to the ELA, so the English Language Arts exam this year. Typically, that would come with a whole name change and notification that the test was completely different. So basically, they said we should all expect lower scores in ELA because we're not even comparing apples to apples in reality, but they still continue to just add it together basically and do some crazy math things is the way they were explaining it. And then the other thing that we noted is that we're in year 3 of new math curriculum, and that's when I would expect typically to start seeing more growth. And then year 2 for English Language Arts, so we are hopeful for that. Our on-track and post-secondary readiness scores, our overall on-track for graduation is 76.3 district-wide. Our graduation rates for the district stands at 90.3%. Keep in mind, that's the 4 and 7 year cohorts, the way that they put those out. But that is close to the statewide value, which is 91.8. And then one notable thing is that our dual enrollment, so high school students that are enrolled in high school and college classes, is 38.4%, which is actually higher than the state at 25.7%.
Sorry. Well, glad to hear things are trending in a positive direction, that's for sure. I just see the math has been picking up, going on its 3rd year for sure. Yeah, hopefully we continue in those directions. Hopefully the ELA side, now that it's been changed or whatever, will start to pick up in the next year or so.
Well, and I think too, one of the better things that we've decided to do is going, pre-K through grade 8 and not having that stop at 5th grade. The same ELA and the same math, I think will be helpful for students. It'll be an easier transition for them too.
Excellent. Thank you for all the info on that, Ms. Campbell. Any other questions, comments from the rest of the board?
Just a comment on the overall score that they show you in those blocks, correct me if I'm wrong, that is not a percentage score. So some people get the idea that, oh my God, we're only at 50%. That is not the case. And there were some things that they told us at the workshop that I don't know how valid in some cases the report card can be. There were some modifications that were made by the Department of Public Instruction for
Mostly ELA.
yeah, just because the test didn't necessarily.
They said that everyone's score would have been a lot higher, but then they just changed the calculations on it to make it lower. Being really weird.
But just bear that in mind. There was some.
It's a lot to try and understand. Basically.
Yeah, and there was political motivation behind some of it. It was. Yeah.
Remember, you can go on the DPI website and look at all those and look at other districts as well.
All right, moving on. Special Education Director, State Assessment Accommodations Update.
So I have, 9 students with accommodations who have had crazy and have had all their accommodations approved. So I'm working on how that's going to split because I have to split them out in groups by their accommodations. The first contact surveys and personal needs profiles for diagnostic learning math, which is our alternate assessment. I have 2 students that will be taking that. Those are, I am now, I think the window opens this week for the forward and pre-ACT for grades 3 through 10, and I am working at gathering all that data so I can get all those entered.
Okie dokie. Anything else for us? Okay. Indian Education Report, impact aid.
After gathering all of our data, we are up by about 10 students, which is 10%, just about from last year. I don't think there will be much of a difference in funding though, because most of those students were either in the low-rent housing category or parents who are employed on federal land. And those only fund at like a very small percentage of what the full amount is for people who live on non-tax land. So I think that should be stay about the same. And then I just ordered our seeds with help of some students to look forward to spring planting. Some of the kids had the idea of maybe doing like, well, they wanted more than monthly, but I'm thinking monthly, like food, make something with some of those fresh vegetables. Obviously, we're just starting seeds, so it would be from ours. But to just kind of see what else we can do with that food, and then maybe give them recipes so then when they take their plants home, they can use that.
Tara, are you planting in the school garden space?
I have in the past, Vanessa has in the past.
Right, because we've talked about dismantling it if
Yeah.
it's not gonna be used. So are you guys going to be using it or not?
I
with
would love to
kids?
say yes.
I know it's so hard because of the summer.
But yeah, I'm not, that's a lot.
Okay, so this seed starting program isn't
No,
planned
so,
to utilize that.
In the past, yes, we
Okay.
have used that, but now I just kind of send home with kids.
Yeah.
And they, bring home their little baby plants, love it.
Okay, perfect.
Brooke Treichel is talking about doing gardening though during summer school for the 3 weeks.
But then what?
Well, she lives across the street, so she would be
okay.
able to
All right,
continually.
because last year we paid someone to weed
Yeah.
the nothingness.
Yes. So I actually told her to
Okay.
reach out to you.
Awesome.
And talk with you about that.
You did some weeding yourself, didn't you?
I did.
You did a little,
Tara, are you gonna be sapping this
Yeah,
year?
that's the plan.
And then back to the impact aid, the 10 new students, is that because tribal enrollment has changed, or is that just we've moved?
So like I said, it's either people who live in low rent housing, so property owned by Burnett County Housing Authority. Or people who are employed by the tribe, employed on federal land. So there's 3 different categories that we claim. One is people who have students who live on tribal land, and the students must attend here. And then we have low rent housing, students who attend school who live in low rent housing, and then parents who are employed on federal land.
Thank you.
Excellent. All right, looking for a motion to approve the minutes from the regular school board meeting of December 19th, 2024.
Motion to approve the minutes. I'll second it.
Motion by Kelly, seconded by Peggy. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, on to new business. Adoption of safety plan.
Okay, so the safety plan exists right here, and this is open to all board members who want to come and look at it. It was created in junction with CISA 10. So I have to submit this prior to January 1st every year. There are no changes other than staffing members who have changed and phone numbers and CPR certification changes. Any changes that come to the plan will be recommended by CISA 10 and we'll just follow through on that. I have to submit it to the Department of Justice by January 1st. It was accepted. Typically, then we have to bring it to the school board. There's a sheet that Tom has to sign showing a resolution. And then also in here are the drills that are included, and I share the drills with the Office of School Safety as well. We do have these for the classrooms that were created in terms of their safety plan, color coded, lockdown, what they do in different circumstances. Like I said, there have no significant changes come from the plan, and CISA 10 was just here several years ago, or not quite that long. But typically we'll go through it and they come through and we'll do a walkthrough in the building and that. So anything that comes ahead in terms of the safety plan, I can communicate that to you. But these are all just different scenarios. They give us who's in charge of what. where, you know, what to do in each circumstance, what communication is to be made and things like that. And we primarily have done this in a broken down version for each classroom and each office, whoever has those. We do continually do the Alice drills, the fire drills and the tornado drill in the spring. So those are the things that are occurring right now. Most districts, I talked to a couple, they just kind of bring a letter to the board and just say, hey, our safety plan's been approved. I just like to bring the plan in case anybody wants to look at it, show what we have in the classrooms, and then there's a resolution sheet that Tom signs. I know it says you're supposed to look at this from front and back, but I will make this available if anybody's curious about looking at this. Or I can bring it to buildings, grounds and transportation, which I think I have in other years, but like I said, nothing has changed. I have submitted it, has been accepted. The only changes were the new staffing and CPR certifications. It's a formality to go to the board, but it is in my office and open for review.
Do we just need a motion to accept, or do we need a resolution? A motion.
He's got the resolution that he signs and we just make a motion to accept and then I'll include the resolution in here. And then when I turn it in next time, I'll just submit it. There's a, like a file that I have.
I just couldn't remember if we had to do it as a
Yeah,
resolution.
you've signed
just
it
a
several
motion.
times and then
Yeah.
the drills that I bring to Tom to sign as well.
Yes.
I don't formally announce the drills at the meeting, he just signs, to know that I've done it. And the report on the drills, basically, I think it's funny time, but it just shows like how many students were in the building, the school name, date of the drill, time of the drill, fire department invited, yes, no, number of students in the building at the time, number of adults, drill type, evacuation time, and then drill remarks. And then we do that each time, and then the president then needs to sign off on that.
Yep.
So I think you've seen those, Tom, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion, we approve the safety plan.
Motion by Peggy, seconded by Eric to accept the safety plan. All those in favor? Opposed? All right. Decisions on bids from buildings committee.
So we opened bids for roof, lawn care and boilers. We opted to go with Paul Sheet Metal for the roof and Total Mechanical for the boiler. The lawn, we still had some questions about, so that one wasn't fully decided yet, but that wasn't a timeline issue piece. The roof and the boilers were. You'll see on there that Paul Sheet Metal looks as a higher, not the lowest bid. But when we added up CNA, their bid was like 1.5 inch insulation. And when we upped it to the 2-inch insulation, which is what Paul's had, something of that nature, the bid would have come out to be about the same. So like their lowest end bid, once we equal it out to what Paul's was gonna be, material wise, they were really one and the same. And Paul's done all the work thus far on the roofs anyway, so that's
I'm
why we.
assuming Hoffman Weber was the same then. But when you
Yes,
changed
Yes.
materials,
yes.
it went up significantly.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
I'm kind of impressed that we got 4 bids because I can
Yeah.
tell you the last 2 roof projects while I've been on the board, Paul's has been the only one.
Right,
been
right.
bid.
I think CNA may have also, one of them also put in contingent for wet material, like it included 1,000 square feet in their bid. But Paul said when he did, they drilled through holes in the roof that they didn't find damaged material. So if we took out what that cost would have been too, that would have
Okay.
made things, it was gonna be okay. Then let's see, the boilers, we went with Total Mechanical, that non-residential boilers, which is what the other one was going to bid. So both of those, did we find someone through CISA that can help general contract? That was the next piece, was
Yeah,
we
no.
need a general contractor to help.
We talked about it and I think the recommendation was that Dan would be best on site to
Poor
just
Dan.
handle that.
So Dan's gonna have quite.
There are other things that come into play when you do that.
Yeah.
And CISA recommended maybe Dan. take
Okay,
it.
so Dan's gonna be busy orchestrating these people all coming
And I
in.
did ask him and he was willing and he
Yeah.
talked to CISA as well.
Okay,
So he felt like he could do it, but we can reach out if we ever need, have questions. and
questions,
things.
perfect. And then the playground, the information was in, the signatures were got to Lee Recreation for the equipment, and then the other contract hasn't been signed yet for the construction, but we weren't under a time constraint to do that, so that will all get situated for January, or at some point between January and February, Chase said, and then he will work on telling us the breaking ground date and all that good stuff for that project, so. We're moving along with a lot of construction to the building this year.
Well, just one other comment. It's nice that boilers are down at one end of the building and the roofing's gonna be down at the other end, so there shouldn't be any conflict between those two, but Dan will still be busy.
Mhm. And the concrete work will get done on the front, so that will all be tore out and redone, and then the playground, so we'll just get it all done.
Just to make sure you guys are aware, Dan is having issues with boiler one. I mean, I don't know, Steve, if he has had some issues, and so they are coming, either they came today or they're coming tomorrow.
Okay.
So we are limping through the winter and we are doing our best, and there will be a cost to the repair, but
Yeah.
we just gambled because, you know, the two were working at the time, and one is working, but I think Dan feels more comfortable if they do alternate or however that plays. Stevie would know more about
Yeah.
that, but.
Yeah. Okay. I'll be in tomorrow, so I'll look him up.
All right, thank you, Katie, and the rest of the Buildings and Grounds Committee. A lot of exciting projects coming up. It's gonna be like a whole new school. Moving on, policy 705.3 language update.
So guidelines for adding or dropping a sport or activity, policy committee wanted to confirm numbers for football and how that was established in terms of coaches per student. So Ryan did provide that, and I think I'm gonna turn it over to Tom and maybe Jamie, and Kelly, you guys were discussing also maybe alternate coaching type of numbers and different things, and I don't remember offhand exactly.
Well, I think it came to us because we didn't have middle school, we didn't have cross country on this. We hadn't updated it since we added
Right.
cross country, so we needed to, and then there was just discussion on, do we have a middle school cross country coach? Do we keep it separated? And then the football numbers I wasn't clear on, so Karsten weighed in on, and so now it makes sense, so.
Yeah, the only thing that was left in question was, like all the other sports, they basically have two coaches, and it's designed, you know, in case something medical or something like that would come up, that there'd be someone potentially there to back them up. And the one issue with cross country is the way it reads now is there's only one coach. If, say, there was only high school cross country, and I mean, that sport takes a lot out of these kids, and only having one coach to try to take care of them after a race is a lot at times. So,
Well, we had said that, or one of the students had to go to the hospital for something that, and a parent's not there. It's the coach's responsibility to stay with the student, and then that leaves nobody with the team. So we had said that we have to have two coaches with a sporting team. So one's with the team and one would be with that student if something happened. So having at least two coaches per team sport.
And
so across country, if we only have 6 kids, we're gonna pay 2 coaches?
In both middle school and high school?
So middle
4
school and,
coaches?
No, they're
no,
together.
middle school and high school, so like with cross country, the middle school, all the meets so far that we've done, the middle school have been at the high school. The meets are at the same place, the same time. For the most part, there was, there was talk about doing a middle school one separately, but I don't think there was. It's kind of brought up because we have like a couple volunteer coaches, and I guess I was thinking one was being paid and I found out she was not.
Mhm.
So I'm just kind of worried about like not retaining her for future, since we're not really paying her. What's to keep her here being a volunteer coach when she could go get paid somewhere else, and she's a teacher. So like, that's kind of where I feel like this kind of started
Yeah.
from, and then also realizing we didn't have, but again, it was.
Tina Carson happened to be here that night, and she said like volleyball is the same way.
Yeah, I mean, I can see the rest all have 2 coaches on there.
Where they have their teams play the same night, so there's always 2 people, 2 coaches there.
Mhm.
So cross country is kind of the same way.
But we only have one
And right
paid
now we have
coach.
one
Yeah,
coach that's
'cause
both the high school
and middle school.
Middle school,
Yeah.
one coach, okay.
One high school, one middle school.
No, just one total.
There's one person that fills
Right,
both of
so-
those roles.
Yep, so we were
Correct.
gonna only have to hire one more.
Yeah.
Instead of having two for each team.
Right, I think the thing was if there wasn't a middle school team or not enough to make a middle school team, then you'd be dealing with a high school team that only had one coach. Because there wouldn't be two there for the, middle school and high school, and then there was the thought of, okay, so what if then one does have to go to the hospital or something like that? You're down to one coach, cause we didn't have enough kids interested, say, in middle school. So now what do we do? How do we make it so there's potentially still two coaches, even if there isn't a middle school team, so to speak? So, I don't know how we would word that. Unless we can do something like number of coaches, one, unless there's no middle school, then two.
You still have to have two though, in case that student gets hurt.
Well, I'm
That's what
saying,
he's saying.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So under high school, put one coach unless no middle school, then two.
Oh, unless, okay, yep,
So I think that's about the only way we can
right.
potentially word this, that it might work out.
What if you just have two coaches in the high school, and if there's a middle school team, one of them goes down to middle school? If there's not, they just, their assistant coach,
Yeah,
It's just how you word it in their contracts, right?
you know.
So either way, it's gonna have to go back to policy to be worded.
Yeah.
yeah. But we wanted to get the board's input in regards to that, so. All right.
I have a lot of trouble paying two coaches for 6 kids, but maybe it'll pick up and we'll have more kids, but
Well,
I mean, there's no other
Does it need
sport where we
clothes
pay two
because
coaches
we
for
pay
6 kids.
Cheaper for middle school
Participate.
coaches. Middle school coaches are less too.
Yeah,
How many kids are on the high school team? How many kids were, that's how many were last year?
And then we're gonna bring it back for board.
And there was no-
It has to go back to
There
policy.
was 4 middle schoolers. Was there 4 or 5? 4 or 5 middle schoolers and 5 or 6 high schoolers. And we had 2 volunteer coaches that were there all the time. And there's just one staff, like she's involved, like basically a coach. And then we got the one paid coach.
but we have volunteer coaches on other
Right, yeah.
sports as well.
Yeah, I just don't know if they're the ones constantly doing the remind app to parents and doing all that stuff. That's where I just feel like there's a lot
But if
extra
they're not
getting.
a paid coach, they can't be left with the students if the paid coach had to go somewhere with the hurt student and vice versa. So the volunteer coach isn't really any help in this situation.
Correct,
That's where
so,
we're stuck.
so I think no matter whether it's high school or middle school, even if we only have 6 students, we don't have middle school, we still need a coach and an assistant coach to CYA.
yeah,
And if there's middle school, then fine, and that covers both the high school and middle school. So I think we need to have 2. And I'll make that motion that we have two coaches, a high school coach, an assistant coach. And if there's a middle school team, then the assistant coach can coach the middle school team.
As long as they're together.
Yes, correct.
Typically, like track and field, like, those coaches should work together.
They should.
You know,
They should.
they really should to build a program that can have more kids.
Correct.
Because cross
Correct,
country
Abhi.
and volleyball, I think we're the only 2 that have their games together, their meets together.
But I mean, is that something that maybe should be in the language too? We expect. the middle
Correct.
School, high school program
Yeah.
function. as
Right.
one.
Right. I would think it'd be no different than what we have for basketball, football, the other sports.
And I think you just have a head and an assistant. You don't have to label one junior high.
Yeah, right, right.
A coach shouldn't be calling or texting.
We've changed that. There's an app,
So
but
you have to.
again, I don't know, it's like board policy, but I don't remember finalizing.
That's
it.
why I think it has to go back to
Being
policy,
told
because they're
that
gonna have to figure out.
Football.
pay scale
Allowed
and
to
all that,
use
or they should
Facebook to
recommend it.
notify
Do everything together except for their games.
per board. I don't remember.
Yeah, middle school. Because she's saying.
Okay.
There's a different
Oh,
pay
for
scale
middle
for middle school
school.
coaches than high school coaches.
And see, that's the difference
Okay, right.
between like track and field and cross country versus football and.
He switched.
So, I mean, it's not as simple as making a motion to do it. Someone's gotta figure out all those particulars because of the pay scales are different.
So then it has to go back to policy.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
But you can still say that two coaches.
Well, it doesn't do any, I mean, it needs to be made into policy. It's not cross-country season anyway. We have time to do it right and get it in the policy the way it needs to be before the season starts.
Right.
Yeah.
Rather than make a motion and you have to change after policy meets because it isn't gonna match
Right,
exactly.
no, it has to come back to policy either way, but so we have his input. That helps the policy committee anyway.
We should ask her.
Okay, so we have one motion. Do we have a second at this time, or is it gonna get dropped and we'll just send it? back
I'll
to
rescind my
policy?
motion and
Take it to policy.
make it go to policy.
As we're looking at this language of, how they're gonna be working together and coaches and whatnot.
Pay.
And pay and all that, can we look at the, whatever language is needed to say that the coaches are utilizing?
Sports U, did we decide on that? Or that was just like, so instead of remind, we're doing sports U, the
No,
communication
Carson
thing?
Did have an app that he chose and
Yeah.
did. send
Right, but
out-
I don't know that it needed to come back to us, but I just keep hearing board members decided on this. Board members are saying this and I'm like, God, did we meet on that?
Or
I
at
don't
least-
remember.
If at least language that says like, coaches are not communicating through text message or Snapchat or
Yeah,
other
they
means
have to use
without
something.
We
parents.
talked about it, but I don't know if we ever.
I addressed it with him, so I don't know if
Yeah.
you're saying it's going on or what.
No, I think it's
Okay.
fine. I'm just confused because I'm being told like the boards has stated that we can't use Facebook to alert parents that we're having awards night tonight. And I was like, we said that? Like, we never said that.
One app, just like the administration wants that.
Yeah.
They don't want you personally talking to kids with your
Should
phone
not.
number.
Right, but I mean, I'm fine if,
So if
if,
this-
if
if
we're
this policy
posting stuff on
encompasses that.
Well,
Facebook,
yeah, 'cause that's
letting,
being approved by somebody.
letting
else.
everybody know
That's
there's
not
an
the same thing.
update, but I'm being told that our coaches and athletic director are saying we're not allowed to do that anymore per school board, and
They're
I'm
not
very.
allowed to do it, but the school can do it. All
Yeah,
they
like the
turn it into
coaches
school to
can't
be
friend the
approved.
students.
What he's saying is the coach. and
I'm
personally-
saying, we
Well,
have,
I'm
our-
sure there was a language maybe communication with Carson to parents.
we have our athletic Facebook page, correct?
Yes.
Like, have we restricted
I don't-
anything?
I don't do an athletic page.
Oh, I know, but
recommended
one
just one
school
page.
that's been approved by the board.
Oh,
all
there
these-
is an athletic
So-
Facebook page.
Athletics page.
Yeah, and
First
I think that's
athletic
something the
page
board needs to
is-
address too, because.
Ah.
Because the school, remember, we talked about this.
I figured that was-
And it has to be approved what's on there, and you can't just, someone has to approve the comments.
Maybe it was when the board was changing, but we talked about not having multiple Facebook
Yes,
pages.
we did.
He does have a Siren athletic page.
I guess
that
I
he-
thought that was,
That's why we wanted one app too, because we had a lot of shenanigans going on where you're talking to kids, and I'm not saying anything was going on,
Yeah.
but boy, you set
Yeah.
yourself
no,
up.
but yeah, the whole,
Yeah.
we're obviously against no Snapchat, and I think that's where we were started
That's
with
where it
the
started, yeah.
no Snapchat from coaches to students, and that's where we wanted like the universal.
Vice versa.
And no text
Communicated.
Person does not use Facebook anymore with any of the students.
Yeah.
He uses Sports U.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying,
there's
I didn't
still-
realize that we had, that
He
the
just
school
posted-
didn't approve his athletic page. I thought that was something approved that he
Yeah.
could post athletic stuff on.
He just
Everything's
posted
supposed to
when
go on the
school was
district
closed.
page.
That was talked about. Everything should be on the
Okay.
district page.
Well, if this policy is appropriate for adding that language in for coaches, if it's not elsewhere. And it's probably not great to like name the specific
No, you
app
say
in
the
the
approved
policy,
app or
the
whatever.
approved app, and then
Plus,
sure the
yeah,
ones
Because
that
it
are
changes,
not
even the
approved.
ones that
Was also
teachers
one
use
thing
changes
we-
sometimes.
Just ran into was they were supposed to be coming together in regards to what app they were going to use, and we never heard anything.
It never came back here, but I was assured that that was done and that there is a specific app, and I guess that's on me that I didn't bring it.
I mean,
back.
as a
I wanted to make sure
parent,
he had
there,
done it.
as a parent, I know it happened with basketball anyways, because I have two children that we're utilizing an app for.
Yeah, he sent a whole thing out to all of us football parents and let us know this is what we're switching to, and that's all he's been using for us. But like wrestling, we use the Remind app, but the coach only uses that.
But
No.
that's a co-op sport, so we can't control what they use.
No, it's not, we're a school sport. Wrestling's a school sport.
Wrestling's a school
now.
sport. It's co-op between the.
It's co-op, that's what I'm saying, it's a
Whoever is the
co-op,
agent-
so whoever is the
physical
agent on the
Oh,
co-op.
and Luck's
Yeah.
the agent
And
for
it's not
wrestling.
us.
No, we are not the.
Luck's the agent for wrestling,
Every
right?
so many years it moves and someone else is an agent, but it's
So
not us.
whoever the
right now.
host is.
We're not on
gets
any of
6%
it
half.
now.
We
It's not
haven't,
our year.
I don't know that. We've ever been on the co-op for, I guess I don't know how many years.
I don't know
co-op
about the
for
wrestling one, but I know we
been.
have for hockey several times because it rotates. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we're sending it back to committee to get the wording finalized and we'll go from there.
And then are we gonna follow up about this maybe unauthorized Facebook page?
I'll have Carson come to policy and
Okay.
I'll get the agenda set up right on that.
Plus, then we can basically have it in writing as to what is the approved
Mhm.
app that they've chosen, because even though they've approved it and shared it with parents, they didn't actually bring it forth to us,
I don't know.
to go over it. Okay. 2025-2026 school calendar. We got a couple options here that got drafted up. Basically the long and short of it, from what I understand, is the first one, they would be out before the start of June. And we'd still have to run the same times that we've been this year.
No, we'd be out June 4th.
So there's two calendars.
There's two calendars.
But
Yeah,
the first one
is June 4th.
June 4th.
Right,
In order
but that
here.
would also bring us back to the old time that we used to finish the school day at.
Which was what time?
It was like 6 minutes difference. in it.
Yeah,
I just hate changing
That 6 minutes when you're scheduling 3:30 meetings makes a lot of difference.
Yeah.
And the big thing is at the very end of it, even if we did the extra 6 minutes, we're still only 0.3 of a day over versus 0.8 of a day over and having short days. And that is an issue if we have to have early release or late starts. Like this year, we're at 0. So if we have any late starts, we have to extend our school year. Which I think it would be worse to have to add days at the end than just to have the days built into June already.
So which is the preferred calendar that you guys want to do?
They're doing
Regular day.
Which is go
Back to the old, so we start at 8:10, they're done at 3:25, or elementary's 8:20, 3:20.
Length of days. and-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the length of days and then whether you get out before June or you go into the first week of June. Most districts go into the first week of June.
Yeah.
And then that even still gets us 0.8. So if we have a virtual day, we can count it, but it's the early release, late starts that would be an issue. Because you can't count that for virtual time.
With the first one.
Well.
With either one.
Either
is
one,
Potentially,
Either
because there's
one,
not even a whole day.
But
built
we'd
in.
be 0.8 over, so as long as we
Give
didn't
us a little more
have.
time, a little more leeway to play
Yeah.
if something happens.
And you said staff preferred going into the, was that, I mean, I don't know, I know parents were kind of back and forth with us
Yeah.
changing what we did this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a lot easier for scheduling meetings after school. By the time, it's going to 3:31, by the time the buses get out of here, you're looking at 3:40 and the kids are all gone, you're looking at 3:45 at that point. And then, so trying to get meetings started, whether it's staff meetings or committee meetings or IEP meetings, there's a lot of things that need to happen after school. So it just puts a time constraint on that when we're here later in the day.
Are we not gonna attempt to get the early start?
They pretty much said no.
No. By law.
That's just
Yeah.
done now?
They
Okay.
pretty much-
Now,
Unless it's a
Changes.
construction.
okay, now.
We have construction.
Superintendent is elected,
Yeah,
Oh,
Then
yeah.
everything could
then
change.
it could.
Okay.
but it wouldn't.
But we're not like trying to fill that out for this upcoming year.
Yeah.
We would have had to have submitted
Did it already,
already at the
okay.
beginning of January.
Got it.
And they basically told us when they denied it the last time, if you don't have a construction project, we're not. gonna-
Yeah, I did try and submit it.
We
Yeah,
tried.
that I remember last year's and it got denied, so I just didn't know if we just always every year tried to submit it or
We did when we had a 50-50 chance, but we don't
Yeah.
have any chance
get
anymore.
it. I get it.
So I guess the only thing is, and I don't know if anyone
Mhm.
polled the staff if they had a preference, because our staff in Siren has always gotten out in May. It's just always been
No, we've been out in June numerous times.
it's been a long time.
It has.
It's been a long time. In fact, even when the calendar went into June, many times we adjusted it and let them out 2 or 3
Well,
days earlier
That's
because
because
we
we
didn't
have
have the snow days.
we had to build in
Yeah.
snow days. Yeah. I know the few
But it's
teachers,
been a while.
few teachers that I've talked
feel like
to
just 2 years
would
ago.
prefer the first calendar getting out at 3:25. Partly because by the time they come in or they get kids out, there's not a lot of leftover time unless they're staying well past 4 to get stuff done too. That's the other piece.
Is there anything that shows either one of these being better for the students?
Well, I mean, you know, summer learning loss is definitely a thing, so I think that extending the summer longer is probably not beneficial for learning. So I think, you know.
The learning times would have them start later in the day
If you
too.
coincide
Yeah, looking at the
days,
education, it'd be like
It's
a
only
9
7
AM
days,
start.
Yeah.
Because you're putting in a half day and then you still have the holiday off.
But adding those 6 minutes, we had to add it first hour and advisory, so it's not like we could add those 6 minutes across the board to each period in the middle high school. Because we have elementary, middle and high school, all the lunch times that cannot be changed very much, and so. We weren't able to like put in an extra minute of instruction time in every class period. So that wasn't ideal.
All right, I'll make a motion. We go with the first calendar.
I'll second it.
June 4th.
Mhm.
Somebody seconded?
Yes, I did.
So we got a motion by Peggy, seconded by Steve to go with the first proposed calendar getting out on June 4th. And going back to the end of the day at 3:25, was it?
Yes.
I believe that it's titled regular day, so I'll just use that in the motion for clarity, if that's okay?
Okay, whichever works for you.
All right.
Okay. So the only thing I'll say before we take the vote is I know the schedule hasn't been the most ideal for administration wise for meetings and stuff like that for this year with the shortened time after school and whatnot. But with the limited number of days, I have to say I've noticed that there's been a lot less, I guess some would say puff days on the agenda for some of these classes, a lot less movies in class and stuff like that. I think because people are trying to get their curriculum done. So, I mean, I think there has been some benefits to it overall, and hopefully we don't get any more snow days and end up extending the year anyways. But
We've had one.
yeah, that was enough. So, that being said, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, this one passes. Moving on, enrollment cap numbers for our elementary.
So every year we have to do this at this time of year, which is really hard. For the most part at the elementary, even though I have enrollment spaces listed, we always take elementary students. So you can see that 4K, I don't make those determinations until after we do our screening, which is on April 9th. Right now, I only have 3 students coming in from Head Start for kindergarten. I am looking at grade 5. And I'm looking at going down to 1 section of grade 5. Right now, we have only 22 students in grade 4. And so, to try and split those off again was kind of a question that I had for the board. I did come to budget and we talked about that. What questions do you have?
I'd prefer not to have that many students in one classroom.
the cap, the student ratio is 25 to 1.
I know, I mean, just looking at all the other numbers though, I mean, they're like the exact same besides the fourth grade's bigger and kindergarten's bigger. All the other classes are smaller or the same size and we have 2 teachers.
They get extra funding for the younger grades.
Yeah.
So through third grade, there are state aid to pay for the additional teachers. And it's not worth dropping that aid to combine those classes.
But yet this year we split it to 3 teachers and still had 11, 10 in a class for the 5th grade.
But that
So
was
we had money to
specifically-
cover for 3 teachers this year for that grade. And you're telling me we don't have money next year to cover for 2?
That
We're
was-
still losing a teacher. We're only having 2 for next year for 5th grade.
Well, no, they have have to get moved around.
Right now, this is showing next year we're gonna have 1 5th grade class. This year we had 3.
That's because one teacher's moving to a different grade and one is.
It doesn't matter
building.
where our
Okay,
teachers
the
are.
issue with this year's 5th grade, besides numbers.
Are
is
behavioral.
The number of needs. And students with disabilities, that is one of our largest groups right now that needed some extra attention and needed to have those smaller class sizes in order to be able
Right,
to.
but there's still needs
their-
in the 4th grade that need to be addressed. And having 2 teachers next year would be in a better, setting up our students that are gonna be 5th graders better, setting them up better, just having 2 teachers versus having 22.
But the number of students in the 5th grade right now versus the number of students with disabilities that will be moving into 5th grade is very, very large.
But I also feel like you're also potentially impacting those kids, causing issues, causing disabilities in the students that are being put more into with 1 teacher, because they have never had a class. They've gone all these years being in a group of 10, 11. And then right before middle school, you want to throw them in a group of 22?
The chances are when they go to middle school, it will just be one section.
Well, I've heard totally different from other parents. They completely disagree with that.
I agree with that too. From what I see and what I have seen this year, we need help in the elementary. And some of you teachers and administration may disagree with me, but I don't. And I see a need in 4th grade, it's gonna continue into 5th grade, and with a student that was just brought in recently, they're gonna need help. So I think we need 2 5th grade classes. I don't care if there's 11 or 10 in the class, but with the students that are gonna be in that class, have special needs, we need the help. And we need to start providing a safe environment
For all the students.
Thank you.
And maybe it's not just
Because
special
we're
needs,
not-
there's immaturity level there's just so much that these kids are needing to overcome, and throwing them all in with 1 teacher, I just
It's
agree
not
with it.
fair to the teachers or the other kids, the other students.
Already at a class size of 22, that's gonna be a smaller class than they'd be in if they were in a larger community.
I
And
understand that,
the
but we're not a
teacher-
larger community.
Used to this community.
Yeah, and it will be a good prep for them going into middle school if they're gonna be all in one.
Why are they gonna be all in one in middle school? I have kids in middle school now, they have 12 students in their groups. They're
It's
not
gonna
all in
depend
one.
on
The only class they're all in one is in Phi Ed in middle school. Are we switching our middle school? Are we not having 2 groups anymore?
We might only have 1 in the 8th grade, that's kind of to be determined, but that, like, up until 2 years ago, there was only 5 sections in middle school for years. So whichever grade level was the lowest would only have 1 section, yeah, it's been very common.
But we also used to have we used to also have another English class, which we no longer have.
In the explore rotation.
And no, we used to have Miss Wicklund or Miss Thal used to teach English, and then we had language
We used
arts.
to have a reading and writing.
Yeah, the workshops, yeah, but we got new curriculum, so.
And these kids are still in elementary, they're not in middle school yet, I don't think we should be treating them like they are in middle school, because they're not, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's true, it would depend on the school that they were at, whether they're middle school or elementary.
Well, if we want to treat them that they're in middle school, why don't we allow 5th graders to do sports?
I don't think-
Webster
I
does,
don't think we should.
Luck does.
Was there-
I mean, there's another argument.
So sport, we're not on sports, so we need to stay on topic of the classroom.
Correct.
And that's why I brought it to the board.
Yeah.
I'm,
The thing is
I'd
we're,
like you guys to make that decision, not me.
I mean, we're already looking at having to hire potentially how many teachers for elementary for this upcoming year?
I
One's
would need
retiring,
to
or
hire-
one's leaving, one's retiring. What else do we have going on?
I would need to hire 2 at this point.
And
Not
that's
including
with
our
only
sports.
one in 5th grade?
Nope, that includes the
Cousins
5th
retiring.
grade.
So, no, I mean,
Yeah.
if you went to only
Cousins.
one in 5th grade, would that
Then
include?
I only need to hire
What
1.
college she's
So
leaving?
we'd only need to
Gustav?
hire 1 if we drop down to 1 teacher in 5th grade. And I mean, when it comes to 5th grade, most of the time, you're dealing with students that already have established IEPs and support networks and things like that. So
And then,
even though that class might be that big, they're not all gonna be in there always at the same time.
you mentioned the higher academic times of math and reading, multiple students will be pulled out to go do those specialties. So when the core academic portions are being taught, the class size will already be naturally smaller.
Correct. And then we would support with Title I.
Title I, yeah, that's right.
So Title I would go and push in and work with Mr. Blythe and making sure that we're targeting students in reading and math. We've done this before.
Will there be paras in there as well?
No,
Not unless needed.
Right, that's name.
I mean, if a new need is identified and it identifies a para, then Denise has to
we
take
talked
care of
about
it.
at budget.
Right now, if we already
No,
know
not
there'll
with
be a
those
para.
kids.
So what we talked about at budget is, those on budget said that we would go up to 30. And then if we get to the 24 mark, that we would hire a general education aide for that classroom. And if, you know, in July and August, those numbers got high, I would be coming back to you to hire right away before the school year would start.
Then wouldn't we be scrambling to hire the scraps? What's
An
left
aide.
over? I mean,
Not necessarily.
we already have trouble hiring people here anyways, don't we?
We do.
Yeah, at the last minute is probably not a good idea.
In the years that I've been on the school board, like 2 now, it seems like that's kind of the cycle of school contracts, though. There are teachers that decide, even seasoned teachers, to make moves. And that happens in July and August. That it scared me too, like, how do we not know someone's gonna fill this position 3 months out? But a lot of things happen over the course of a summer for new teachers graduating or older teachers that have experience that are making changes. I don't.
Last year I hired 2 teachers kind of right at the end in August.
Yeah.
Just because we knew we needed them.
Mhm. So it doesn't work for me that we're gonna scrape the bottom of the barrel and not have good pickings for people if we had to wait. As it's just a different cycle for hiring than other industries.
How many IEP kids out of those 22 students are we gonna have in 5th grade?
These come in a wide range.
They
You
do.
know they do.
I think 3 LD, 1 OHI. That receives speech and language services and maybe a speech kid
And a 504.
and a 504.
So 7. So 7 out of 22 special needs or special whatever you want to call them.
So that, I mean, a number of those students would be the students that are gonna be pulled out for those extra services and extra attention, so that
And
would.
have the extra support.
And have the extra support in place, so that's gonna bring your class size down by 7 students for those core academic
How
times.
much of the day are they pulled out?
For the high academic portions, right? So math and
Well,
reading.
it depends on where the schedule
Yeah.
falls, but Lots of times they're in for instruction and then they'll come up for work
For say half the day
time.
or
It depends on the
quarter of the
students.
day
It
or-
depends on the needs of the
Title
students.
IV won't be pulled out. This particular one.
Okay, so what happens if you have an IEP student that throws a hissy fit, starts throwing stuff at kids in the class, and the teacher can't control?
The current students that are in fourth grade right now that would be moving into fifth grade, there are no behavior challenges. Not saying that we wouldn't have, the one you're thinking of is fifth grader.
There's a fourth grade one we have now that just came into the district, Denise. From luck,
Moved back.
or is he third grade?
Third.
Third grade, okay, all right.
Right now, I don't have any behavior issues in fourth grade. I don't have any fourth graders that are ever sent to the class or out of the class. Come and take a break even.
But don't we want to keep it that way?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not arguing with you. I'm just giving you the facts. That's all. And you guys will make the decision.
Well, okay, if we don't hire two teachers, then I'd like to see an aide in this class as well to help.
And we talked about the aid if the numbers got up to 24, and there still could be movement in these numbers going down. I believe one of these students is gonna move out of the district.
You said 30, right?
That would be a second teacher.
Second teacher.
But they said 24.
Is we looking for that full time?
Because of the
Don't know.
22, like 5 of them leave. So you're already down to
Right, so 30 higher
17.
teacher, okay. 24 higher aid.
I just think budget wise, it has to be considered.
Couple things. First, just cautionary with board on comments. We're already skirting very close to making comments that we shouldn't be as far as students go.
Well,
Just
then
take it-
Tom,
No, as
Okay.
far as identifying potential students. That's what I'm saying. So just keep in mind, you don't want to identify potential students. You can talk about problems, but you can't talk about where they're potentially coming from because that could identify them.
okay, fine. And I'd like to challenge the board, every board member in here, to come into the elementary, not into their class, their students, if you have students, not into the students' class, just come in and audit the elementary school for a day.
Also, in that same vein, IEP doesn't mean the same thing across the board.
I know it doesn't, Tom.
So we can't just look at it like it's all a behavioral thing with every student that has an IEP.
I understand that, Tom,
Well,
but I don't think
I
the
will,
board is in touch with what goes on in the elementary part of this school. These teachers are doing a lot more than teaching. They're social workers, they're parents, and it goes on and on.
so
Whether you
I'm
have
just gonna
2 kids in a
add,
class or 20.
because, not as a board member, but as a parent, my son does have an IEP in this school. And he does not classify in anything that you were saying. He is not pulled out in class. He is mainstreamed 100%. He can, Bryn have my permission to testify for this. He can read sheet music. He can follow directions. He does not have any behavioral issues in class. He is not down in Jamie's office. He can do anything you ask him to do. So yeah, I agree with Tom. You can't take, this kid has an IEP and so we have so many in the classroom, so they can't sit and have one teacher in here. This is what I do for work. I work with kids like this. I'm an autism therapist right now and they are 100% different, every single kid I work with. It's no different saying an IEP category. I understand Jamie's frustration as well, and I'm sorry you feel that way, but it is only 20 kids in a class. And we're a small district and that sucks, but we don't financially have money to support 6 kids to a teacher. And if they say that there hasn't been an issue this year, they're the ones that are here all day where these kids get sent. I feel like we have to listen to them and take that up. And if we start seeing something coming back repetitive or coming to school, and seeing stuff happen, then we readdress it at that time. But just because we have these 6 or 7 kiddos, that doesn't mean anything right now.
So how are we gonna readdress it come October when there's issues and some of our students are failing behind because we've stuck them in a class of 25? Are we gonna just, oh, let's now hire a teacher?
So because my kid has an IEP.
I'm not gonna do an IEP. I don't care if the kid has an IEP.
Well, that's what you're saying about
number.
I have not said anything about IEPs at all.
Just the number.
I haven't even asked that.
The number of the kids that your kids are gonna be in school with.
So do you think that a group of 25 students, regardless of their IEPs, would potentially have the ability of those students not to academically perform as well?
I would prefer to just have 2 teachers. I don't care if they're all high achieving students or if they're 10 with IEPs, like all the kids need extra. They've been getting extra. And I feel like we've gone over and above with other groups, dividing them out to make sure those students' needs are all being met. Just because my child doesn't have an IEP doesn't mean they don't have needs that need to be met. Doesn't mean that they don't have other things going on that, you know, they need the one-on-one or they're other, like having to deal with other classmates on a continual basis.
I feel Mr. Blythe has been here long enough that.
Nothing to do with Mr. Blythe either.
In one class and get all their needs met. I personally think 1 teacher for this year is fine. That's my personal opinion.
I'll disagree with you and that's fine.
Is there a budgetary number that if a second teacher was hired, what is going to need to be cut from elsewhere?
We're just monitoring staffing needs. We brought this to the board. Not necessarily looking to cut, we just wanted you to make the decision because we'll work around it. I mean, we're gonna try and cut in other areas. Bottom line is we're gonna have to go to referendum if you don't cut. And we're planning on that anyway, but this particular one, we wanted to bring to you because you
all have students who are
Yes.
going to be in 5th grade, so. Just part of trying to be fiscally responsible and.
Well, maybe if we can see some numbers, you know, maybe the rest of us that weren't at the budget meeting, if you can break it down, what are we actually saving? What are we gaining? I mean, break it down, show me some numbers.
I got numbers.
Show me what how much we're spending if we were to do 2 teachers here versus our other financial options. Okay, perfect. Thank you. I haven't seen it. I don't know. Okay, Eric, did you see it? I wasn't at the budget meeting.
It wasn't brought, there were no
No.
numbers brought to budget, number wise, cost wise.
So let's bring that forth the budget so we can analyze what the cost difference would be and the benefit to go elsewhere. Also, if we could do a comparison with an aide hire as well in that situation. And what impact that might make as well. Yeah, anything else at this time from the rest of the board?
You still have to.
So we still need to
Yeah,
vote on this enrollment because it's a requirement.
But
It has to be done now. It could change,
It
but we
can
have to turn it in.
change. It can change based on what you come back with. It can change, but I do need it. We have to have it approved for state in January. So it can change. I'm not, it's changed before. I mean, we've redone things based on whatever the needs are, so.
so this is just,
This is just the enrollment cap for the elementary.
right, just the student count only
Correct.
at this point.
Correct.
Correct.
So in this particular case, if you decided on 2, we can always scale back if you guys decide that. Am I right?
Well, we wouldn't be scaling back. If we were deciding on 2, we'd actually have more open enrollment spots for 5th grade. It wouldn't be scaling back. It
You
actually,
talked about budget.
If we needed.
You told me to get numbers to you.
Yes.
I was looking at it from a student scale back with what's on the sheet presented.
Well, if we add a section, we would have room
More
for
spots,
28.
obviously.
Yeah, that's where I was in my head thinking what you were
Nobody's arguing.
saying.
Yeah. You just
Make a
vote to decide,
motion
that's
to
all.
approve what you have presented here for your cap. Elementary.
I'll second that.
Motion by Kelly, seconded by Katie. To accept what is presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
I,
3 opposed. Okay, on to middle school. Before we go there, but yes, Kevin, we still would like to see those numbers at the next budget, please.
I've showed you, I
Yeah.
just,
For the rest.
some things.
I have it in the minutes.
Thank you. On to enrollment cap for middle school.
Middle school, I do have to apologize that I had a couple of errors on here that I changed after she uploaded it, but it was too late for her to re-upload it for you. So just under 25-26 projected enrollment for middle school, it should be 89, not 81. So that means there's 55 projected open seats. We have 2 sections listed at each grade level. And we go with that for now. The schedule is not finalized for next year yet, but there is talk of going to 5 sections because, and since these numbers have come out, they've changed even because I pulled them January 5th and like grade 8 is down to 21 kids and our student teacher ratio is 24-1. Prior to me coming here, so the year before I came, there was only 5 sections in the middle school. And I went back and looked at the enrollment cap numbers and every year they had been approved as is. So it's my belief that we still go and put them as the 2 sections, even if we change it when scheduling is changed. So right now we're at 80 students middle school, looking at, again, that 25-26, it should have been 9. And so then when I did the math, I messed up. The projected open seats would be 55 and not 63. Any questions about middle school?
Make a motion, we approve the enrollment cap numbers for the middle school.
Second.
Motion by by Peggy, seconded by Kelly. To accept the middle school student enrollment cap numbers. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, enrollment cap, high school.
Okay, and then we are currently at 113. Next year, we're looking at 110. So that projected open seat should be 70 and not 67. And then the next year, 101, 107, and then going back up to 117, but it's considerably down. Any questions about high school open or enrollment?
Make a motion, we approve the enrollment cap for the high school.
Second.
Motion by Peggy, seconded by Kelly. To accept the enrollment cap for the high school. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Enrollment cap numbers, special education.
So special education is a little different because it doesn't count student bodies. It is determined based on the services that each student with an IEP receives. So if you are a very high need student, your caseload factor number is higher than it would be if you're a student receiving minimal services. So we have early childhood first. Early childhood is always kind of fluid, based on what we get out of birth to 3, based on referrals that come in from early childhood, from St. Croix Tribal Head Start or Mina Copeland, that all roll into the early childhood piece. Right now, we have 1 referral from birth to 3 who met eligibility criteria, 1 from St. Croix Tribal Head Start we just received. We did have part of the reason I was late today is we did just staff an early childhood student today out of St. Croix Tribal Head Start. At this moment in time, I would say no space available for the moment because we do have 2 notifications for birth to 3. We've got 2 other ones that are coming in from St. Croix Tribal Head Start. So that tends to take a lot of manpower and a lot of time to do that. And most of our early childhood services at the Head Starts are provided at the Head Start location. Our elementary, you see we have the different levels, level 1, level 2, level 3, based on the amount of services they received. We do have 4 referrals in process right now, new referrals for elementary services, and 5 additional are projected before the end of the school year. Middle school and high school are a little different because where I'm sitting right now with teachers, I think I'm going to have to split a teacher again between the 2 next year. We will have numerous students in the middle school next year with the caseload number that they normally predict per teacher is 26. So you can see by numbers here, we have no space available in middle school, nor will we have space available in high school. Speech and language projections, speech and language and OTPT are a little different. OTPT we contract, so the formula is there for how many days we contract with them, how many students they can work with, those kinds of pieces. OTPT, unless we contract more time for those, we will have no space. And speech gets a little different based on the number of students that they work with for elementary and secondary, which is middle school, high school. Our early childhood speech language students, a lot of them are push-in services, so that tends to make things a little different as well. Speech and language referrals, most of the time will come out of our early childhood, either birth to 3 program or our Head Start programs and our 4K program for students that are coming in that haven't received or haven't been anywhere else before. So basically open enrollment numbers, I won't be accepting any open enrollment students with IEPs.
So Denise, I guess I got a question, because I'm confused here. You're saying special ed. Is it IEP or is it special ed? I'm confused.
Special education is students that receive services under an individualized education plan, which is an IEP.
Okay.
Okay. So the state has a caseload formula factor, which is on the DPI website, I think. If not, I can get you a copy.
And I appreciate that.
So if you go down to the elementary, we have level 1 students. Level 1 students are the students that are receiving the minimal amount of services that they need to have in order to be academically successful. Level 2 students need a little bit more services in order for that to happen. And our level 3 students are more of our high needs kiddos, are students that are really struggling with maybe behavioral issues, maybe really struggling academically and need those additional services in order to level the playing field to be successful in their curriculum. So that's where the level comes in. And
Okay.
at each elementary, middle school, and high school, there is a certain caseload factor for each one of those levels based on the amount of services that the student receives.
So let's say we have a student that doesn't come in till 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, and they're 3 weeks behind in homework. How does a teacher deal with that? Or she's trying to teach, or he's trying to teach that class?
This is where the special education staff jumps in and tries to schedule a time with the student during a study hall or during a work time to have them come in and try to help them get their stuff caught up based on their accommodations. Some of them can have assignments modified, which we've done if they can demonstrate they understand the content, then some of the problems will go away. There's different things that we do based on what the student needs to have.
I guess I have no further comment. I'd like to comment, but I'm not.
I think I brought this up last time when these numbers came up. And I'm gonna bring it up again, is, so in elementary, we've got 2 teachers. And we're dealing with roughly 14 students. And then you've got middle school has 1.5 teachers. And they're dealing with half again as many. And high school is the same. So you're dealing with close to at least 50%, if not twice the caseload, with less teachers.
Part of that is the way that the students are flowing, and these are numbers for next year. Okay,
Right.
and with the way that our RTI process works, we do tend to get a lot more referrals in the elementary for special education services as we move into the second part of the year, based on what comes out of the interventions.
Right, but we're already starting with more teachers for the elementary than we are for the middle and high school, is what I'm saying. And we have more students requiring those services in the middle and high school than in the elementary, given your numbers.
Is it the way that the services are weighted?
No, I'm looking at the straight student counts.
Mhm.
You got middle school is 20.
Mhm.
So in elementary, there's 17, in middle school, there's 20, in high school, there's 25. So you've got 2 teachers for 14 students and only 1.5 teachers for 25 students.
So a lot of our elementary students, now that we do not have severe issues in the middle school and high school as well, if we keep the services in the elementary so that they start learning those skills in order to deal with behaviors or self-advocacy skills to ask for help, or learning to use some of the tools as far as note-taking skills or whatever we need to do, if we can get those solidified in the elementary school, they'll have those skills when they go to middle school. So it's a different kind of support that they're getting when they get to middle school and high school.
But you still have 3 level 3s in each of those. You still have.
But it's level 3 is not always behavior. Level 3 can be very, very severe academically challenged students.
Right, but what I'm saying is I'm going off of the numbers you're providing. And it just looks like we're in a deficit when it comes to the middle and high school as far as teachers go, where how many are requiring assistance based on whether it's the student count, the level counts,
And
however you put it.
This is just teacher pieces here. When I go through and start looking at things, this is where I start staffing aides based on where the support needs to happen in the classroom.
And what are we looking at for aides as well?
I haven't gotten to that point yet.
Because I know that's also something we're always having an issue with. So.
And there is a chance that some of the students that are counted in these numbers, move out of the district, or, there are a lot of things that can happen here. A lot of our students that will be seniors next year have jobs, so we allow them out early for work release and those kinds of things, so they're not in need of as many services as they were when they were coming in the middle school or as freshmen. So there's different pieces that tend to move a little. If that makes any sense?
Oh, it does. I'm just saying, I think this just yet again speaks to the board needing to come up with some better incentives to attract more sped employees, whether it's paras or teachers, because you know, no matter what we look at, demand's only gonna get more and more from year to year, and we're constantly, it looks like, starting out a deficit every year, and we gotta do something to turn it around to attract more long-term or better, because especially with what we're gonna be losing this upcoming year. But in the meantime, I'll make the motion that we accept the enrollment space availability for the special education for 2025-2026. Motion by myself, seconded by Kelly. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
One opposed. All right, on to meeting calendars. Got budget and finance.
There's a break the 14th of Friday and the 17th of Monday. So I didn't know, we talked about it, I didn't know if Monday would be a good day.
Tuesday.
What's that?
Could we move it from?
Yeah, I
17th
mean,
to 18th?
we didn't know.
I don't have
We
a
just-
problem with that.
Is anyone not okay with Monday? We met on a holiday.
Well,
Okay.
I'm not gonna be in town.
Okay.
probably.
I cannot make it Tuesday. I will be at wrestling.
Okay, so this is,
Oh,
okay,
It's not a
first of
real
all,
holiday.
budget and finance.
budget and finance.
Does the 18th work for you, or? would
It
you
does
want us-
not. I could do the 10th, the prior Monday.
Is that too early, Laura? But we could do the other stuff even if we don't have the budget.
Yeah, we'll make it work. So the 10th at 4:15.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got buildings and grounds. What
I will
works?
be out of town that entire week, 10th through the 14th.
That's one.
Any other time is fine with me.
The 18th?
Sure.
Mm.
You
At-
said it didn't work, didn't you?
No, I have to leave at 3 o'clock. So unless we did a daytime meeting on that Tuesday, more daytime during the school day.
What if we just did the 19th? I mean, I'm fine with the morning meeting, but
I can't do the 19th.
okay.
But I can do that.
Steve and
I can do the 18th
who's on the
anytime during the day.
Yeah,
buildings?
Okay,
Steve?
does that?
Yeah, whatever works.
Is there any daytime scheduling problems for you guys? Any meetings already in progress?
I don't have anything on the 18th, but I don't know if you guys do. Any problems with the conference room? back
When was that,
there?
the
I
18th?
have to go schedule it. I have to look to see if it's already scheduled. I have a
Time you look?
conference in the morning, but
It's gonna be more onto their schedules now.
yeah. From 9 to 12:30. If I have to miss it, I have to miss. Could do one. Can you do one?
Mm-hmm. Anytime up to 3. 1 o'clock, okay?
Steve, can you do one?
1?
On the 18th?
Yeah,
Correct?
yes.
Eric?
Tuesday, the 18th.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Oh, yes.
So that's a Tuesday?
Is that Billy?
Right after lunch.
What's that?
Dan cleans the commons right after lunch. It might depend on what's on the agenda. To make sure
Oh,
Dan
Dan
can
might
be
not
there.
make it?
Why wouldn't he be able to?
He cleans the commons right after lunch, and that would be right after lunch.
Mhm.
Yeah.
To make it work.
Okay,
Okay, so we're good for the 18th at 1.
yep.
Okay. Policy planning and curriculum. Does the 11th work? No. How about,
Wednesdays would be best for
I was
me,
gonna say 12th.
or the Oh, you guys already have a meeting on the 10th?
or 19th. What about you, Kelly?
The 12th or the 19th.
Yeah,
Either one, the 19th would be better, but I could do either one.
all right, I'm good with 19th for you.
What time? Yeah.
We wanna do,
I can do it early as
okay,
What was this policy?
anything from 3 after.
um. I could do 4. Is that too early for you?
That should work for me.
So we'll do 4 on the 19th for policy planning and curriculum. And then regular board, Monday, the 24th, at 5 PM.
Sure.
Okey-dokey. All right. Looking to approve the bills.
Make a motion to approve the bills for the December 19th to January 24th cycle.
Second.
Got a motion by Katie, seconded by Eric. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Items for board signature, I already got. Mine taken care of. At this time, I'd like to convene a closed session under Wisconsin State Statute 19.851 CEFG to consider employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, considerations of financial, medical, social, or personal information, and to confer with legal counsel who is rendering oral or written advice.
Make a motion to go to close.
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Peggy, seconded by Katie. Steve, take the roll, please.
Kelly,
Yeah.
Peggy,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
Katie.
Yes.
Steve.